Welcome everybody, Red Arrow 23 here, time for another edition to the Boom Beach Playbook. Today we're going to be showing the Strategize Core Rush. Let's boom this beach! So BVD is going to be showing us this one from the Baron Von Steph account. Let's have a look. Alright, so we got a pretty standard looking strat here. We're just going to run through the hit. So that you can have a bit of a look at it. Let's jump it into 1 times speed. So you had to clear out that shield first, and then we're just going to use a flag landing, gathering with a flare at the sniper towers. Didn't let them fire at all, and he's using a flare in between the 2 middle ones so that he can probably split them. Let's have a look. Yep, split right between the middle, and then we're using 1 smoke, couple critter smokes, and then a double smoke. I like it, gets its critters out early, and then flare on the core, probably activate some battle orders, and let's see the shocks. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Great work from BVD, a lot of damage coming out right now. Just as the shocks run out, gets the final shot off and gets the kill. So nice work BVD, making sure the Zukas are a little bit hidden. So let's break it down a little bit more. So he is down a little bit of GBE because the whoever's doing the top left shield hit unfortunately didn't quite get it down, so he had to use what looks like 1 barrage, 2 artillery to take that out. So he is at a little bit of a GBE deficit. Doesn't look like there's any free GBE around. Sometimes there will be, but with you might be able to get some machine guns with the greens, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just have some good statues there and boost them up. So here we go. We can get away with a flag landing here. If there is, sometimes there's shock launchers here. If you haven't taken them out, well, there are usually shock launchers here, and these ones got taken out in previous hits to make the core rush easier. If you haven't taken them out, you may have to do a flag landing on the right hand side of the beach, and then flare across and smoke a little bit earlier, biasing on the left hand side because nothing's going to be in range of the right hand Zukas, because there will be a little bit more spread. But here we go. So smokes up. The first, we don't want to lose delay on the rocket launchers, and the closest rocket launcher is there for this one. And you got that first smoke so that we don't get brick too damaged or lose any Zukas. And because it's such a short walk, we can afford to throw a little bit of extra smoke. And with that flare placement, you can see he's put it right between the 2 front middle sniper towers. The reason he's done that is because he's going to get a nice clean split pathing through. See the Zukas split right between the middle of the 2 the group of snipers. If you flared just in front, like a tile or 2, a tile right or left, then the Zukas would split and go either side of the sniper tower. As long as you know which way they're going to go and you smoke all the avenues, then it will work out fine. So there we go, we got the lead up smoke, and you can see he's going to use, he actually uses critter smokes. So let's have a look and see what that looks like. So he throws the first 2 smokes outside, and then he throws his double smokes. And there needs to be just a slight hesitation between these taps, because you want your critter smokes to expire just before your double smoke. If there's not enough time between, then everything that was supposed to be firing at your critters will just fire straight at your Zukas if they're closer, and the critters won't do any distracting basically. But if there is a proper amount of delay, then the critters will pop out nicely. If you put too much time between the critter smokes and the usual smokes, then obviously you'll lose the delay, the critters will all die, and then your Zukas will appear, and then they'll get shot. So perfect timing there. 2 critter smokes, 2 smokes. Because we've done those critter smokes early, we can get the critters in nice and central so they don't peek out of the smoke. And then we want to be flaring onto the core and basically doing our prep work. So flare on the core, activate battle orders if you haven't already, and then we're lining up our shocks. If you don't want to use critter smokes, not a lot of people do, but you can still use critters, you just have to time it obviously. So you flare the core, activate battle orders, and then around about 10 o'clock of the smoke timer, you kind of have to play around with that number. I normally just do it like by a little bit of feel. So critter, and then your shocks either side of the core, so 1, 2, and then you can start spreading out to things that have a bit more delay. So let's have a look at what BBD does. So 2 critters on the core, 2 shocks on the core defenses, and then 1 shock to cover these 6 or 5 rocket launchers around the damage amp, another one for these 3, 1 shock for the right hand rocket launcher. He's using the critters to distract the shock launchers, so he's not worried about that, and it actually looks like the Zookas are out of range of the shock launcher. That's great news, I didn't actually know that. So your Zookas will be out of range of those shock launchers, so they're not a big deal. You will have some mortar fireage from either side, as well as this Doom Cannon, just because it's here, and they're going to be firing directly into those critters, so it's not a big deal. If you don't have the GBE for multiple shocks on the outside, so usually there'll be these, 8 rocket launchers, and that'll be mirrored on the other side. So if you don't have GBE to be shocking like these 6 items and then these 3 on both sides, because that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shocks, you can afford to just throw 4. So or if you've cleared out one of these shocks, you might not need that 4th one. So you do whatever shocks you need around the core, and then you can shock just the front 5 or 6 rocket launchers in 1 shock. What that does is eliminates the ones that are sort of out further on the flank, and then these rocket launchers should all fire into the critters that you've laid either side of the core rather than your Zookas. If you just depended on these ones, yes, they will fire into your critters, but you have more. If you spread a little bit too far, or your critters are a little bit too far forward, or whatever, your rocket launchers could flank out. So I suggest that rather than getting like the 5 closest to the core, I would get the 5 closest to the beach, if that makes sense. That's how I would usually rush it. And then you obviously want those critters either side to do all the distracting, and it works out really well. So let's have a look, see how that went. So you can see all the mortars firing into the critters. The critters all die, and then they start trimming the Zookas. You can see they're only getting a little bit either side, and the core goes down as the shocks expired. So there you go. Let's have another look from the top, and then we will wrap it up. So here we go. For this particular hit, he had to barrage out the shields. Just make sure that you have obviously taken out the shields before you hit. I heard that in Angry Snacks they don't necessarily like to do that, but I mean it's personal preference. The core seems to go down quicker when you take out the shields first. Bit of a tip for you there. So there you go, flag landing. Remember that if these shock launchers are there, you are obviously going to have to shock them as well. We usually take them out in previous attacks, and the way that we did it in this one is we did universal remote, but there's not always a lot of damage around. That we had a Doom Cannon right here, so there was kind of a bad example, but sometimes there's if there's no Doom Cannon around, there's usually just these mortars, maybe some sniper towers, and these rocket launchers, and they don't necessarily, if you wanted to do a double smash for example, so just UR, they probably won't both go down. So you have to universal remote one, re-smoke, wait for the universal remote to expire, and then universal remote the other one. And even then, you're not guaranteed to get them 100% of the time. So you need to check how much damage is coming out of the defenses around. That's enough about that. So let's jump back into it. So using that flare in between the 2 front snipers, and that's going to give us a nice little lead in. That last smoke and then critter smokes, remembering that we don't have to throw critter smokes, we could throw our critters as part of the core rush. So once we flare the core, imagine we didn't have the critter smokes. Right now we can go critter, so critter, critter, shock, 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 shock. If there was standard like amount of rocket launchers around the core, and then these ones will fire into the critters. And then if you do have the GBE, re-critter. Remembering that if you do choose to like critter the core, for example, all of these mines are going to just toast your critters and you're going to have no distraction. So I don't suggest that. If anything, throw them into these defenses at the front. So we've done all our critters, we sent out all of our shocks, and then we just sit back and watch our handiwork. Boom, 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 and boom, and down goes the core. And then it is that simple. This one had, what is that? That's 12, 13, just under 1.6k on the core. Just over 1.5, I mean. So that one went down pretty nicely. Nice work, BVD, showing us how it's done. You can bring heavies. I don't usually suggest it, but it's kind of situational dependent, depending on how many rocket launchers are behind the core. If there's more, then you probably need them. But that'll do for this video. Be sure to comment down below if you take it out any differently, and give us the reasons why. Help us out, spread the love, and then give us a thumbs up if you like the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more Boom Beach. Yeah.